And we have seen that cold front push through parts of Hampton Roads, and it is bringing a few showers and a couple of thunderstorms through parts of northeastern North Carolina. The cooler weather is starting to work its way in from the north as well. If we take a look at the radar loop over the past several hours, had a couple of showers pop up over Isle of Wight County, parts of Suffolk, but that front continues to sag southward. Some heavier rain here, western parts of Suffolk, eastern Southampton County, now south of Franklin. You'll work your way down 258 towards Riddicksville and along Gates Road down towards Reynoldson Road. So that'll cross over the state line into areas of Gates County. The shower that was up earlier south of Moyock and west of Sligo has started to fall apart, but we still have a couple more back towards Nixonton and over towards Parkville. So we zoom in here on Nixonton, you can see that's where some of the heaviest of the rain is. That will continue to push south down towards the river over the next 15-20 minutes or so. And the front continues to work its way southward as well. And with it, we've seen that cloud cover work its way southward, slowly working its way in. We've got partly cloudy skies down across northeastern North Carolina, but cloudy skies through much of the rest of the area. And that'll be the case through the rest of the evening. There could be, again, another shower or two across North Carolina, maybe a little bit of mist or drizzle around in a few spots later tonight as those winds continue out of the northeast. Temperatures in the 70s through much of the evening, even down across North Carolina. Those temperatures will fall later this evening as well. And overnight, mostly cloudy skies. We'll start the day on Saturday in the 60s. We could see a little bit of some mist and drizzle around tomorrow morning as well with those light northeasterly winds. And I think we'll see a good deal of cloud cover through the morning. By the afternoon, might start to see a few breaks in the clouds. Temperatures upper 70s to around 80 degrees, a little bit cooler right near the water. And then looking ahead towards tomorrow evening, partly cloudy skies. And your Sunday, temperatures start to warm back up just a little bit more. Wind shifting around just a little bit, taking on more of a southerly direction. So notice into Sunday afternoon, partly sunny skies, temperatures back up into the low to mid 80s. So take a live look at the Norfolk Botanical Gardens right now. You can see the cloudy skies here. Temperature coming in at 78 degrees. Winds out of the northeast at 13 miles per hour. That's that cooler air working its way in. Temperatures around 80 degrees along the state line, but look at Hertford, 90 degrees right now, 85 in Manteo, but we're 67 up in Tappahannock. So that cool fall-like weather slowly working its way southward, and that'll be the case later tonight. 92 in Edenton, 87 in Gatesville, but again, temperatures will be falling tonight as that front continues to slide southward. So mostly cloudy skies, some spotty drizzle tonight down to 70 degrees, and tomorrow morning clouds, a little bit of drizzle possible, then some afternoon sunshine, 80 degrees, 68 partly cloudy tomorrow night, and for Sunday partly sunny, warm and humid, high temperature of 83 degrees. For Monday, mostly sunny, back up to 84, and temperatures pretty much holding in the mid 80s right through much of the week until we get to Thursday and Friday. That's when a cold front will approach. We'll see a chance for a few isolated to scattered showers and thunderstorms to round out the week.